Musashi, named after an old Japanese province, was one of 4 Yamato-class battleships built for the Imperial Japanese Navy in the late 1930s. These ships were the largest and most heavily armed battleships ever made, weighing nearly 72,000 tons when fully loaded. Musashi was equipped with 9 18.1-inch main guns and had 4 6.1-inch triple-gun turrets for secondary armament, which were previously used by Mogami-class cruisers. Additionally, the ship carried 6 or 7 floatplanes for reconnaissance missions. Musashi was commissioned in mid-1942 and soon became the flagship of the combined fleet. In early 1943, she moved to Truk, Japan's main naval base in the South Pacific, where she embarked on several missions to locate American forces, though none were successful. Throughout 1944, Musashi transported troops and equipment between Japan and its occupied territories. In early 1944, an American submarine torpedoed her, forcing her to return to Japan for extensive repairs and a significant boost to her anti-aircraft defenses. In June 1944, Musashi participated in the Battle of the Philippine Sea but did not engage directly with American ships. Later that year, during the Battle of Leyte Gulf on October 24, 1944, Musashi faced an intense attack from American carrier-based aircraft. She was hit by 19 torpedoes and 17 bombs, leading to her sinking. Over half of her crew survived. The wreck of Musashi was discovered in March 2015 by a team led by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen. Design and description. To counter the sheer number of ships the United States could produce, the Imperial Japanese Navy aimed to make each Yamato-class battleship superior to any American counterpart. Musashi was one of these formidable vessels, designed to outgun and outlast its rivals. Musashi measured 800 feet between perpendiculars and stretched to a total length of 862 feet overall. Her beam at the waterline was 121 feet, and her draft was 35 feet when fully loaded. She displaced 64,000 tons at standard load and nearly 72,000 tons at deep load. Initially, her crew consisted of 2,500 officers and enlisted men, which increased to about 2,800 by 1944. Powering this giant were 4 sets of compound-geared steam turbines, each connected to a propeller shaft. These turbines were capable of producing 150,000 shaft horsepower, thanks to steam from 12 compound water tube boilers. This setup allowed Musashi to reach a top speed of 27.5 knots. She could carry 6,300 tons of fuel oil, giving her a range of 7,200 nautical miles at a cruising speed of 16 knots. Musashi's primary firepower came from 9 18.1-inch Type 94 guns, arranged in 3 triple-gun turrets from front to rear. These powerful guns could fire 1.5 to 2 rounds per minute. For secondary armament, she had 12 6.1-inch third-year type guns, mounted in 4 triple turrets, 1 at the front, 1 at the rear, and 1 on each side amidships. These guns were repurposed from Mogami-class cruisers that had upgraded to 7.9-inch guns. To defend against aircraft, Musashi was equipped with 12 5-inch Type 89 dual-purpose guns in 6 twin turrets, 3 on each side of the superstructure. Additionally, she carried 36 1-inch Type 96 light anti-aircraft guns in 12 triple mounts, all placed on the superstructure. The ship also featured 2 twin mounts for the 0.52-inch Type 93 anti-aircraft machine guns, located on either side of the bridge. During repairs in April 1944, Musashi's 2 wing turrets with 6.1-inch guns were replaced with 3 triple 1-inch gun mounts each. This upgrade added a total of 16 triple 1-inch mounts and 25 single mounts, resulting in a formidable light anti-aircraft armament of 115 guns. Musashi's waterline armor belt was just like Yamato's, measuring 16.1 inches thick and angled outward at 20 degrees at the top. Below this belt, the armor varied in thickness from 10.6 inches over the magazines to 7.9 inches over the machinery spaces, tapering down to 3 inches at the bottom. The deck armor ranged from 9.1 to 7.9 inches thick. The main gun turrets had robust protection with 25.6-inch thick armor plates on their faces, 9.8 inches on the sides, and 10.6 inches on the roof. The barbets supporting these turrets were armored with plates ranging from 22 inches to 11 inches thick. The turrets of the 6.1-inch guns had 2-inch armor plates for protection. The conning tower, an essential part of the ship's command structure, had sides armored with 19.7-inch thick plates and a roof that was 7.9 inches thick. To protect against underwater threats, the area under the magazines had armor plates between 2 and 3.1 inches thick. Musashi also featured 1,147 watertight compartments, with 1,065 below the armor deck and 82 above, to maintain buoyancy and enhance survivability during battle. Musashi was equipped with 2 catapults on her quarterdeck, allowing her to launch up to 7 floatplanes stored in her below-deck hangar. The ship operated Mitsubishi F-1M biplanes and Aichi E-13A1 monoplanes. To recover these aircraft, Musashi used a stern-mounted crane capable of lifting 5.9 tons. Musashi was equipped with 4 rangefinders measuring 49 feet each. One was positioned on her forward superstructure, one in each of her main gun turrets, and another 33-foot unit on her rear superstructure. Each 6.1-inch gun turret had a 26-foot rangefinder. For controlling low-angle fire, 2 Type 98 fire control directors were mounted above the rangefinders on the superstructure. The 5-inch anti-aircraft guns were managed by Type 94 high-angle directors, while the 1-inch AA guns were controlled by Type 95 short-range directors. Built with a Type 0 hydrophone system in her bow, Musashi could only use this system when stationary or moving slowly. In September 1942, a Type 21 air search radar was installed on the roof of the forward rangefinder. By July 1943, 2 Type 22 surface search radars were added to the forward superstructure. During the repairs in April 1944, the Type 21 radar was upgraded to a more modern version, and a Type 13 early warning radar was also installed. Construction. By mid-1944, Musashi's immense size and weight required special measures for her construction. The slipway was reinforced, nearby workshops expanded, and 2 floating cranes were built to handle the task. The ship's keel was laid down on March 29, 1938, at Mitsubishi's Nagasaki shipyard, designated as Battleship No. 2. During the build, a large hemp rope curtain, weighing 450 short tons, was used to prevent outsiders from viewing the construction process. Launching Musashi presented its own set of challenges. The launch platform was 13 feet thick, made from 9 layers of 17-inch Douglas fir planks bolted together. Assembling this platform took 2 years due to the difficulty of drilling perfectly straight bolt holes through such thick timber. To control the massive hull once it entered the narrow Nagasaki harbor, 560 long tons of heavy chains were attached to the sides to create resistance. The launch was kept secret by staging a citywide air raid drill to keep residents indoors. On November 1, 1940, Musashi was launched, stopping just 3.3 feet beyond the expected 720-foot travel distance. The entry of the hull into the water caused a nearly 4-foot wave, flooding the harbor and local rivers, affecting homes and small fishing boats. Musashi was then fitted out at nearby Sasebo, with Captain Kaoru Arima taking command. Towards the end of the fitting out process, the ship's facilities, including the bridge and admiral's cabins, were modified to equip Musashi as the primary flagship for the commander-in-chief of the combined fleet. These changes, along with improvements to the secondary battery armor, delayed the completion and testing of Musashi by 2 months, until August 1942. Service. Musashi was commissioned on August 5, 1942, in Nagasaki and joined the 1st Battleship Division alongside Yamato, Nagato, and Mutsu. Starting on August 10, she conducted machinery and aircraft handling trials near Hashirajima. Between September 3 and 28, she was outfitted with 12 5-inch guns, 12 triple 1-inch gun mounts, and 4 0.52-inch anti-aircraft machine guns at Kure, along with a Type 21 radar. Musashi spent the rest of the year training and was promoted to Rear Admiral on November 1. On January 15, 1943, Musashi was assigned to the combined fleet under Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto. She sailed to Truk on January 18, arriving on January 22. On February 11, she replaced Yamato as the fleet's flagship. Admiral Yamamoto left Musashi on April 3 to direct Operation I-Go in the Solomon Islands. His orders were intercepted, and his transport plane was shot down by American P-38 Lightning fighters on April 18, killing him. His remains were returned to Musashi on April 23 and later taken to Japan for a state funeral. In response to American attacks on Otu Island, Musashi, along with the aircraft carrier Hayo, 2 heavy cruisers, and 9 destroyers, sailed to the northern Pacific on May 17 but returned to Kure on May 23 without encountering American forces. Captain Keizo Komura replaced Arima as commander on June 9. Emperor Hirohito and high-ranking officers visited Musashi during her overhaul at Yokosuka Naval Arsenal on June 24. She was fitted with 2 Type 22 radars from July 1 to 8 and sailed for Truk on July 30, arriving on August 5 to resume her role as the fleet's flagship under Admiral Meineki Koga. In mid-October, Musashi led a large fleet to intercept suspected American raids on Wake Island but returned to Truk on October 26 without contact. She remained in Truk Lagoon until February 10, 1944, then returned to Yokosuka. On February 24, Musashi sailed for Palau, carrying one Imperial Japanese Army battalion and another of Special Naval Landing Forces. After losing most of her deck cargo in a typhoon, she arrived at Palau on February 29 and stayed for a month. On March 29, Musashi departed under cover of darkness to avoid an air raid and was hit by a torpedo from the submarine USS Tunny, flooding her with 3,000 tons of water. 7 crewmen died, and 11 were injured. Temporary repairs allowed her to sail to Japan, arriving at Kure on April 3 for further repairs and upgrades to her anti-aircraft defenses. In May 1944, Asakura was promoted to Rear Admiral. Musashi left Kure for Okinawa on May 10 and then for Tawi-Tawi on May 12. Assigned to the 1st Mobile Fleet under Vice Admiral Jisaburo Ozawa, she and her sister ship departed Tawi-Tawi for Batian on June 10, preparing for Operation Khan. They were diverted to the Mariana Islands on June 12 due to American attacks on Saipan. After joining Ozawa's main force on June 16, the battleships were placed under Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita's 2nd Fleet. Musashi was not attacked during the Battle of the Philippine Sea. Following Japan's defeat in the battle, the 2nd Fleet returned to Japan. On July 8, Musashi and her sister ship transported 3,522 soldiers and equipment of the 106th Infantry Regiment to Linga Island, arriving on July 17. Battle of Leyte Gulf. In October 1944, Japanese battleships, including Musashi, Yamato, Mogami, and Nagato, were photographed in Brunei, Borneo, preparing for the Battle of Leyte Gulf. On August 12, 1944, Captain Toshihiro Inaguchi took command of Musashi and was promoted to Rear Admiral on October 15. 3 days later, Musashi sailed to Brunei Bay, Borneo, joining the main Japanese fleet for Operation Show 1, a counterattack against the American landings at Leyte. The plan was for Ozawa's carrier forces to draw American carriers north, allowing Kurita's Central Force to enter Leyte Gulf and attack the American landing forces. Musashi and the fleet departed Brunei for the Philippines on October 22. On October 23, the submarine USS Dace torpedoed and sank the heavy cruiser Maya near Palawan. The destroyer Akishimo rescued 769 survivors, transferring them to Musashi later that day. Loss at Sibuyan Sea. On October 24, while moving through the Sibuyan Sea, Musashi was spotted by a reconnaissance aircraft from the USS Intrepid. Shortly after, at 10:27, 8 Curtiss SB-2C Helldiver dive bombers from Intrepid attacked. A 500-pound bomb hit the roof of turret number 1 but did not penetrate. 2 minutes later, a torpedo from a Grumman TBF Avenger hit Musashi's starboard side, causing significant flooding and a 5.5-degree list, which was reduced to 1 degree by counterflooding. During this attack, 2 Avengers were shot down. An hour and a half later, another 8 Helldivers from Intrepid attacked again. 1 bomb hit the upper deck without detonating, while another penetrated the port deck and exploded above an engine room, breaking a steam pipe and causing power loss to the port inboard propeller shaft. The ship's speed dropped to 22 knots. Anti-aircraft fire downed 2 Helldivers. Shortly after, 9 Avengers scored 3 torpedo hits on the port side, causing more flooding and reducing the ship's freeboard by 6 feet. Musashi fired Sanchikitan anti-aircraft shells from her main guns, but 1 shell exploded inside turret number 1, damaging its machinery. At 13:31, 29 aircraft from Essex and Lexington attacked Musashi. Hellcat fighters strafed the deck, and Helldivers scored 4 bomb hits near the forward turrets. Musashi took 4 more torpedo hits, 3 near turret number 1, leading to extensive flooding. The ship now listed 1 degree to starboard, with her bow down 13 feet, and her speed reduced to 20 knots. 2 hours later, 9 Helldivers from Enterprise attacked with 1,000-pound armor-piercing bombs, scoring 4 hits. 3 more torpedoes struck, further damaging the starboard bow and reducing speed to 13 knots. At 15:25, 37 aircraft from Intrepid, Franklin, and Cabot attacked Musashi, hitting her with 13 bombs and 11 torpedoes. Her speed dropped to 6 knots, her main steering engine was knocked out, and the rudder jammed briefly. Counterflooding reduced the list to 6 degrees to port. In total, Musashi was hit by an estimated 19 torpedoes and 17 bombs. Final moments. At 15:30, Kurita left Musashi to fend for herself but encountered her again at 16:21. The ship was listing 10 degrees to port, her bow down 26 feet, with the forecastle awash. A heavy cruiser and 2 destroyers were detailed to escort her while attempts were made to correct the list. Her engine stopped before she could be beached. At 19:15, the list reached 12 degrees, and the crew was ordered to abandon ship. Musashi capsized at 1936 and sank in 4,430 feet of water at coordinates 13 degrees 07 and 122 degrees 32 E. Captain Inaguchi chose to go down with his ship. Of her 2,399 crew members, 1,376 were rescued. Half of the survivors were evacuated to Japan, while the rest joined the defense of the Philippines. The destroyer Shimakaze rescued 635 survivors from the Maya wreck. For more than 70 years after Musashi sank, shipwreck hunters tried to locate her without success. Unlike many other warships, Musashi didn't have its name on the sides, making it harder to identify. A breakthrough came when a research team sponsored by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen found the wreck after 8 years of searching. They used various historical records from different countries and deployed the high-tech yacht Octopus along with a remotely operated vehicle. In March 2015, Paul Allen announced that the team had discovered Musashi beneath the Sibuyan Sea, 3,000 feet underwater. Initially, it was believed Musashi had sunk in one piece, but she actually exploded underwater, scattering debris across the ocean floor. The bow section from the number 1 barbette forward lies upright, while the stern is upside down. The forward superstructure and funnel are detached and lie on the port side. During a live-streamed video tour, the expedition team found a mount for the Imperial Japanese Navy's seal, a chrysanthemum, among the debris. The video also revealed damage from U.S. torpedoes, including a warped bow and hits beneath the main gun. These findings, along with other items and features, led experts to confirm with 90% certainty that the wreck was Musashi. Shigeru Nakajima, an electrical technician who survived Musashi by jumping overboard, told the Associated Press that he was certain the wreck was Musashi after seeing the anchor and the seal mount. He expressed gratitude to the expedition team for locating the ship. Preservation and protection. The discovery of Musashi's wreck raised concerns in the Philippines. The provincial government of Romblon, which has jurisdiction over the wreck site, and the Philippine Coast Guard were initially unaware of Allen's expedition. Governor Eduardo Firmilo welcomed the discovery, but the Philippine Coast Guard stated that foreign-owned vessels need clearance from the Philippine Foreign Affairs Department, the Customs Bureau, and the Immigration Bureau before entering Philippine waters. For the Japanese, the discovery was significant due to the presence of over 1,000 sailors' remains. The National Museum of the Philippines emphasized that any activities related to the shipwreck would follow established rules and regulations. The museum noted that the wreck site is considered an archaeological site under Romblon's jurisdiction, prioritizing the verification, protection, and preservation of the site, as well as formulating appropriate next steps. As we wrap up the incredible story of the Musashi, it's clear that this battleship played a crucial role in naval history. From its formidable design to its dramatic end, Musashi's legacy continues to fascinate and inspire. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into one of World War II's most iconic warships. Thanks for watching. The Animated General out.